His part in the crime was to be the lookout. So he was the lookout, and the other individuals he was with were trying to break into the establishment. Now, it was conspiracy to commit burglary because burglary is a charge that is given when when it's premeditated. So when there's a plan ahead of time on how to go about breaking into a building or something, versus breaking and entering. Breaking and entering is trying to access a building that is locked and that you have no lawful right to go into, but it's more like a spur of the moment type thing. That's the difference between the two charges. So his was conspiracy to commit burglary because it was something that was planned out, but they never got into the place, so it wasn't successful. But for conspiracy to commit burglary, a first offense, he got 1 year probation. And this was through, he got a program too. He went through a program because he didn't have any priors. But he got 1 year probation. He had to pay a fine. I forget the amount. And he got 500 hours of community service. 500 hours of community service. He got 5 times the amount of community service and a year probation and fines for being a lookout while 2 other guys tried to get inside of a building. She got 100 hours community service for taking a life, for killing someone. What further proof do you need that society has made it a liability to be a man today? She stabbed this man 108 times, killing him. They reported that she stabbed herself 43 times in the neck, which is a lie. This is her. This is her neck. Those are not stab wounds. Those are cuts. Then they say she stabbed her dog. She's alive. The dog's alive. She wasn't stabbing herself in the neck, and she did not stab the dog. She probably cut the dog. She didn't stab the dog. A stab is a knife puncturing, entering a person's body, not what's on her neck. These are scratch. These are cuts. 100 hours of community service for killing a man, taking a man's life. A lot of people smoke weed. A lot of people smoke marijuana. I've done research, and they said marijuana does not cause psychosis. They said what happens is if you smoke marijuana, it can be the catalyst to a person who already has a mental condition. And it can be the catalyst for them to go into a psychosis. But smoking marijuana itself does not cause psychosis. A person has to have an underlying mental condition already present. Now, it may be present and they know of it, it's to their knowledge, or it may be something that they are unaware of. But the bottom line is smoking marijuana does not cause psychosis. Through the research that I did, don't take my word for it. You are free to do your own research. Also, the precedence that was set by this judge, and his name is, where's his name at? I think it's Judge Dave Worley. Judge Dave Worley, Worley. The precedence that this sets is complete and utter BS. Because every day people smoke meth, which does cause psychosis, by the way. Meth and PCP actually does cause people to experience psychosis and send them into a psychotic episode. People use meth, assault the police. The charges don't get dropped. They never go to court, and the judge says, well, this person was smoking meth for the last 3 days. They were in a psychotic state. We're going to drop the charges of them assaulting a police officer because they weren't in their right mind. They were experiencing psychosis. They don't say that when a person smokes meth and goes out there and kills someone. They don't say, well, they're not responsible for the murder because, they bought meth, but they didn't know how strong it was, and they didn't, it caused them psychosis, and then they went out and murdered 4 people. So, we're not going to charge them with murder. Just give them 100 hours of community service. Like, the state of California is such garbage. Like, it's the worst state that we have in the country. It is literally the worst state. And it just blows my mind that the president has not stepped in. Like, the federal government has not stepped in to regulate that stupid state. And this isn't a Biden issue. This isn't a Trump issue. California has been stupid for decades now with their rules and their laws. They just passed another stupid one with the minimum wage going up to $20. They're literally destroying small businesses. Not only just small businesses, but also franchise owners of different businesses, particularly in the retail space. Destroying businesses, destroying them. So many businesses have shut and closed down because of that law being passed. The minimum wage is just that, a minimum wage. It's not supposed to be a living wage. But anyway, that's a different topic in a different video for a whole nother day. But the bottom line is, she got 100 hours of community service for killing someone because they said she was not responsible for the state that she was in. Yet everyone that smoked meth and killed someone, assaulted a police officer, been on a high-speed chase that we all love watching them. When someone goes on a high-speed chase for 30 minutes, the police following them around and hopping in and off of highways, speeding through residential areas, speeding through business districts. We've all watched that. Someone smoked meth. They've been up for 4 days straight. Someone doing PCP. The tasers don't work. The sticks don't work on them. You're just in a psychotic state. By the time the cops get them subdued and arrested and detained, they have more charges attached to them than the Dead Sea Scrolls. Never once has a judge said, well, you know what? This person was on PCP. PCP caused them to go into a psychosis. They didn't know what they were doing at this time. They're not responsible for their actions. Never has that ever happened. The only reason why this has happened here is because of this. Look at my cursor. Because she's a woman. If you take this woman, Bryn, and change her gender, make Bryn be Chad, and Chad had committed this act, this killing against Bryn, and stabbed her 108 times after smoking marijuana. And let's see if Judge Worley would have acquitted Chad, and said he wasn't responsible. That would have never happened. Ever. Ever. He would have never been lenient if this was Chad. So listen to me and understand me well. The judicial system, the family court system, they are completely desensitized to any struggle or any dire circumstance and situation that men experience. That's why they say things like, well, when he goes to jail, I hope he gets raped. No one ever says that about women, no matter what they do. No one ever says, well, I hope she goes to jail, I hope she gets raped. No one ever says that. But when it comes to a man, they say the most despicable, disgusting things. And that's why our country is going, I don't want to cuss, but that's why our country is turning into a cesspool now. Any country that is not backed by strong men is a weak country. We're a weak country. The only reason why we're on top now, as far as a military power, is due to technology. That's it. We have enough money to build planes, army tanks, weapons, nuclear weapons. That is the only reason. If our military was not based on technology and funds, we would not be a superpower. The men in the Middle East that we keep dropping bombs on, that we keep talking about, are 1,000 times more masculine than men in the United States. And if it came down to hand-to-hand combat or anything like that, we would lose quick. You're even seeing it in boxing, American men used to dominate boxing. We used to dominate the heavyweight championship division. Look at it now. And that's because we have generation of soft men. 100 hours of community service for killing a man. What further proof do you need that society has made it a liability to be a man? This is why boys are turning into girls and men into women. Who wants to be a man when you get all the blame? Who wants to be a man when it's always your fault? Who wants to be a man when you're told you're not needed? I don't need a man. I don't need a man. Who wants to be a man when you're told you're evil, toxic, creepy, a predator, a narcissist? What man in this country actually feels good about himself being a man? Go ahead, I'll wait. You got girl power, sister power, all these different statements and acronyms and movements for women. What man in this country actually feels good about himself being a man? So I ask you again, what more proof do you need that this country does not care about men? Remember this? Remember this incident? Remember when this happened not too long ago? Who remembers this story?
Sprung up in a silent scream and holding myself, and I couldn't stop bleeding.
That was the moment John Bobbitt realized his penis was cut off. People talked about this story around the world.
This story was irresistible.
Now, John and Lorena Bobbitt will be the focus of a new Amazon 4-part documentary series called Lorena.
The interest level was huge.
Here's their real story. John was a Marine veteran. In the late 1980s, he met Lorena, an immigrant from Venezuela, at a Marine Corps ball. They got married in 1989. Lorena told Steve Harvey about their relationship.
I met John, and he was nice, and he was charming, and he was kind, and things started to change after, we got married. I fell into the same pattern there the battered woman syndrome falls into, which is, the honeymoon, when he will promise me that he will change.
In 1993, Lorena Bobbitt cut off John's penis in the middle of the night. It was reattached after a 9.5-hour operation. John recently told ABC's Amy Roback.
When I sprung up and I was bleeding, I was applying pressure, that immediately I thought it was something out of a horror movie.
It was a nightmare, but it was real.
It turned into reality. Horrified, terrified. Thought I was going to die. That was it. I'm going to die.
The ensuing 8-day trial captivated the tabloids.
He kicked me. He told me that I told you not to cry. And he slapped me in my face. He pulled my hair. And he squished my face.
Lorena claimed her husband was raping her, which he denied.
Irresistible impulse, of course, is at the heart of this case, and whether the jury believed that Lorena Bobbitt had an irresistible impulse to do what she did.
Lorena was found not guilty of malicious wounding due to temporary insanity, something that could have put her behind bars for 20 years. John has denied ever being abusive to Lorena throughout their relationship. John went on to capitalize on the headline that made him famous, appearing on TV shows and starring in pornographic films.
John Wayne Bobbitt says that he is happy, that he's healthy, he's living in Las Vegas, he has a girlfriend who he loves, and he says life is good. I thought it was pretty phenomenal when he claimed that it didn't really hurt.
Today, Lorena is remarried and has a daughter. She appeared on The View to reflect on her story.
My story got lost in the tabloids, and it was just basically a big joke. And there's not a joke about domestic violence. It's nothing a joke about sexual assault, and that's why I'm here.
This is InsideEdition.com.
Do you guys remember that story? Lorena Bobbitt cut off her husband's penis. Notice at the end of this video, she says, when this happened, people made a big joke out of it. People were laughing, making jokes. And she said, there's no joking matter when it comes to domestic violence. There's no joking matter when it comes to abuse. Notice how she didn't say, it's not a joking matter when it comes to cutting off a man's penis, dismembering a person. Notice how she didn't bring that up and say that's not a joke. When this happened at that time, people were making all kind of jokes about this man losing his penis. Women laughing, women cheering, women clapping. And you even had men making jokes too. Comedians, different men making jokes, because it's always funny when something happens to a man. That's how desensitized as a nation we have become, and as a country, and as a culture. It's ingrained in the culture. So it's not just that this is toxic or that's toxic. Our entire culture today is toxic, especially against men. Look at the show she was on. She was on Steve Harvey's show, which is no surprise to anyone out there. We all know that Steve Harvey is he's a shill. He's a prop. He's a puppet. We know that he just goes there and he sells their talking points on the left. And she was on The View, which is another a left show, full of liberals. So there's no surprise that they're on these shows. But look at these shows. These shows have agendas because these shows have reach. And their audience aren't men. Their audience are women. But this was a joke when it happened. And guess what? She got no jail time. None. Zero. She was acquitted because she wasn't in her right state of mind, just like they said this girl who stabbed her boyfriend 108 times wasn't in her right state of mind. Both of them got off. Because when it comes to doing anything to a man, physically, emotionally, and definitely financially, it's a joke. What further proof do you need that this society has made it clear that they don't care about you as a man and that you are just a liability? And the only thing you're good for is to pay a bill, move a couch, and take a bullet. By the way, before I get out of here, John Bobbitt was a Marine. John Bobbitt was a soldier. You know when you hear people say, we love the soldiers? We love the soldiers. We love our military. Yeah. Bull-ish. If you love the soldiers and you love the military, and this is how you show it, a man losing his penis and it's funny, or a man getting stabbed 108 times and a woman gets off, then I don't want your love. I'd rather you hate me. This is why I don't tell anyone I was in the military. No one. I'm saying it now because it goes with this video, but I don't tell anyone that. Because the first thing out of their mouth is, thank you for your service, and we love the military. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. I'll leave the links below so you can check this out if you want. Leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.